Well, is that it? Is it time to pull the plug on all hopes for the playoffs for the Detroit Red Wings this season? I don't know about that necessarily. But yesterday's game against the Philadelphia Flyers may have just been the icing on the cake. This is extremely disappointing for Detroit Red Wings fans who have been eagerly anticipating the team's revival in the Stanley Cup Playoffs for the first time in years. The Red Wings had multiple attempts over the past few years to actually squeak in. We made the crunch time video yesterday. We went over not just the commentary made by Todd McClellan and Dylan Larkin and Moritz Seider, but we also talked about the numbers. The Red Wings had pretty good results in previous seasons heading into March, only to totally drop the ball and miss out on the playoffs entirely. Sure, that one year with Derek Lalonde, they were close. They were actually tied with the last playoff contending team. But tiebreaker, schmiebreaker, it leaves the Red Wings out. Now, yesterday, it might have just been the worst of it all because not only did the Detroit Red Wings lose against the Philadelphia Flyers in regulation 5-3, but you got a glimpse as to what was actually possible with this team. You know, my dad would say to me sometimes, it's actually better to lose in a sports game by a blowout versus losing in a super tight game where you actually have the advantage, but then you choke it away. It's worse to lose when you had no chance versus when you actually had a chance, because the emotional repercussions of the latter are very difficult to overcome. But here's the thing about the Detroit Red Wings. You can say some sort of an opposing perspective applies here, because the Red Wings actually were down 4-0 against the Philadelphia Flyers yesterday. Owen Tippett got himself a hat trick. I'm looking like a genius because I actually picked him up in fantasy the morning of the game, and he got a hat trick plus an assist, so I'm looking amazing in my semifinal matchup. But the Red Wings were down by 4 with 13 minutes to go in the third period. And for whatever reason, those last 13 minutes featured some of the most intense cycling, pressure, shot quality, and overall domineering play from the Red Wings that we have seen all year. The Red Wings scored 3 goals in the span of about 3 minutes in the last 10 minutes of the game. The Red Wings turned it on, and even though they weren't able to get it done, you can say, oh, well, they showed the effort. They actually looked good. They moved the puck. They shot the puck. They controlled play. They looked like a solid team. And that's what hurts the most, you can say. Because it's like, the Detroit Red Wings have what it takes to take control of a shift or take control of a period, even if it results in an empty net goal against like it did last night. Sean Couturier scored his 10th, Owen Tippett with the assist, so there you go. That's my fantasy team benefiting hard from this. But even though the Detroit Red Wings showed off that they can do so well, I think the prevailing thought from many Red Wings fans after last night's performance was, why couldn't they do that for the entire game? Maybe not even all 60 minutes of it, but try not to just look good in a 7 or 8 minute stint in the end when you're already down 4-0. What is with this Detroit Red Wings squad where they look so amazing and they have so much urgency, they have so much tenacity, and they look dangerous as all heck at the end of games when they're losing, but they never look like that at the start of these games. They look worse. There's an issue with the way the Red Wings just cannot seem to turn it on unless they're losing and down by a few in the third period. They haven't been able to do this over the course of the entire season, and now fans are starting to notice that, yeah, wait a minute, that seems to be a pattern that has plagued this team for most of the year. And now it's like, demoralizing, because there's this thought that says if the Red Wings were to squeak into the Stanley Cup playoffs, who's to say they'd even have the 60-minute game capacity to bring it and force a win in a series, let alone a game or two, make it competitive enough to make it worth the money for fans to show up in the building for the first Red Wings playoff berth in over a decade. You can say that the Detroit Red Wings do not have what it takes as a hockey team itself to be a competitive enough playoff caliber squad. And I think that that's not unreasonable at this point. It's definitely not fun. It's not fair. I think a lot of talent exists on the Red Wings roster. It's just when you look at how this team cannot seem to get it together, you talk about crunch time, you talk about the collapses in March, there are many symptoms or reasons that you can say that happens for this team. Is it, oh, they just get pushed around too much? Oh, they don't have the second line center they need. Oh, they are relying too much on their goaltending. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. There are a number of reasons. Oh, it's Stevie Y not puckering up and just giving whatever assets that the Blues wanted for either a Braeden Schenn or a Robert Thomas or a Kyrou or whatever. You can say it's a number of things here. But at the end of the day, the Red Wings, we said it a few videos ago, they're in control of their fate. They have to win at least 6 or 7 of their remaining 11 games to get the best chance of realistically making the playoffs. Well, they lost 1. They got 10 games left. They have to win 6 or 7 out of 10? Bruh, that's not gonna happen. And if it does happen, then I'll be a super happy Red Wings fan, because DeBrincat and Raymond better pop off because I got them on my fantasy team. I'm gonna need them to do well. Let's be clear here. I'm a Red Wings fan. I want to see the team win. I would like to see the team make the playoffs, as are potentially many of you who are watching this video. But it's hard to look at it and say, yeah, that team deserves to be in the playoffs, when this is what you're greeted with throughout the month of March, where things are the most competitive, the games mean the most. The Red Wings have found a way to fail during all these quote-unquote important games of the year, most important games of the year. They lose against Boston, they lose against Ottawa, they have these impactful moments, and they look super strong, but then they only show it for like 10 minutes at a time. Yo, you can't be losing these games, man. I get it, second half of a back-to-back. You won against Buffalo, that was really strong. But now, there are 10 games left. They gotta win a few more. The Red Wings' playoff odds, courtesy of MoneyPuck.com, they ended up dipping to 23% as a result of the loss to Philadelphia in regulation. And now if you look over to the regular list, the Red Wings have a 37% chance of making the dance. You know, maybe I'm frustrated because I was genuinely hopeful and I was genuinely believing that it was a realistic outcome for them to make the dance. I do still think it's realistic to an extent, but it's a lot less realistic now than it was, let's say, a few days ago. And I think now I'm looking at it like, yeah, well, it's a lot more likely that they just miss, you know? And that's what pisses me off. Because they had it, right? Like, I try not to say it too much because I get annoying about it, but they had it, lost it. It's like Wayne Gretzky all the way back in the day. Steve Yzerman, he scores! Like, ugh, what a crazy moment. Could you imagine the Red Wings being able to put themselves in a spot like that again? Overtime winner, a slap shot from the point, and the entire building goes crazy? We can't see that again. At least, not this year. Unless the Red Wings get their act together and learn how to play a 60-minute game. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Detroit collapse? Second half of a back-to-back. I get it. You know, it was never going to be the easiest game. But with the fact that they can play well, and they have shown that they have what it takes to take control of a shift or a moment or whatever, my question is, why do you wait until the last 5 minutes to show that you can do that? Why are you so complacent that you allow yourselves to go down 4-0 and then it's like, oh, now we gotta actually play? Where's the urgency there, man? I don't know. I'm just frustrated. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Detroit Red Wings and what we have been greeted to as fans over the past few days in March. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.